In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicky Fraser, and today there is no Joe because he's at work and it's 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. And so I am joined by Dom Hodgson, who is a member of my inner circle and a dog trainer extraordinaire and a superhero business owner. Hi, Dom.
Hello, Vicky. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Today we're powered by tea because, as I said, it's way before midday. There's probably the sun's over the yard. I'm somewhere in the world, but I try not to drink gin before midday. So yes. What are you drinking, Dom?
I have Yorkshire tea as well.
Oh, good man. Okay, so that's good. So let's get down to business. I'm going to try and ramble a bit less than I normally do on this one. So it's really great to have you on the show. Thank you very much for being here. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Right. Well, my name's Dom Hodgson, as you've already said, but just to confirm that, I'm a dog trainer from Sunderland in the northeast of England. And a little bit about my story then. What happened was I was a sales rep for about 10 years with a tobacco company. And basically I just didn't want to do it for another 30. So I quit. And people always say, if you're going to do a business, do something that you love. And at the time, I knew I wanted to work outdoors and I knew I wanted to work with dogs. So I set up a dog adventure business, taking out, people's dogs when they go to work and stuff, because, the dogs still need exercise. And it just went on from there, really. I quickly realised that I didn't really, as much as like when you start a business, I didn't really know very much about dogs. So I embarked on a bit of a dog education and went on to some courses and learned from some of the, there's nothing better than learning from people who are experts, isn't there? Whatever it is that you want to get better at. And
absolutely.
And it just went on from there, really. And now I consider myself a dog trainer and still doing my dog adventures as well. And we have some online dog training courses, and we help people out. And yeah, it's been merging the sort of trying to make a business out of it, really, over the last couple of years. That's been kind of my journey. I kind of got good at the dog training, and now it's been about getting good at marketing myself, I suppose, and getting more clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So what makes you different from other dog walkers and trainers? I mean, you've already mentioned something that you do dog adventures and not just walks, and that's really cool. That's kind of the power of a USP. So is that what you say would make you different from other dog walkers?
Yeah, I've always tried to be different. Sometimes not in a good way, but yeah, I've always tried to be different. And I can remember when I had my my proper job, I can remember talking to a good friend of mine, Jim, and we always just have chats, and we always just talk about, if we ever did start a business, we would want to be kind of a Harrods and not an Aldi, that kind of thing. And
yeah.
And so when I eventually came around, I suppose I did a lot of things right, without realizing. I kind of positioned myself as the premier dog walker, and
yeah, set
my fees accordingly and that kind of thing, and everything that happened, and without knowing that this was what you kind of teach within your inner circle and stuff like that. I think it was everything happened. I attracted better clients, and they pay on time and all that kind of thing. So
yeah.
So it was logical for me to when I started to move on to doing some online training and things like that with the dog training as well, that I continued to kind of position myself and try and make myself stand out, really, with some USP.
Yeah. So is your kind of dog adventures the sum of your USP, or is there anything else? I know you've kind of positioned yourself as being the Harrods of dog walkers, and that's brilliant. And that's, if people want to be seen as kind of, the top of their game, then that's absolutely what they should do. But there's always that kind of danger that you have to give that value. So what is it about you that you do differently that kind of...
Well, we do, as regards the actual dog adventures that we do, I always wanted to do something different. I didn't just want it to be a service where you would kind of take the dogs for a walk around the block, and just to stretch their legs kind of thing. I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could pick the dogs up and take them out. We go somewhere different every day. One day we go to the beach, the next day we go to the woods, and we'll play with the dogs as well. That's another part of the USP, is that we don't just I don't just take them to a field and let them arse around for an hour together, because then you end up with out of control dogs.
Yeah.
So we play with them, we interact, we train them obviously as well, but it's just that interacting so that I am the thing that they look at, the thing that they want to play with, and then that has benefits for the owners as well, because then when the owner takes them out, all the owner needs to do is take a toy with them or some treats, and the dog will look to them as well, rather than another dog.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's really cool, because you quite often see, and it always makes me laugh. You quite often see what I presume are dog walkers, although maybe they're crazy dog people. I don't know. With kind of like 35 dogs on a lead and kind of a fan, and it always kind of makes me think of those helium balloons. When you kind of see people with like a massive bunch of helium balloons, and you think, how are they not floating off? And they kind of get pulled along by these dogs, and often they're kind of on their phone or talking to somebody, and you just think, well, are they really fully engaged with those dogs? And so it's really nice to hear of somebody kind of putting their all into giving the dogs the attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the basis of good dog training, really. It's just take an interest in your dog, and your dog will be interested in you.
Yeah,
some business lessons there too, I guess.
I guess there probably are. Yeah. We shall move on to that. So what plans have you got to grow your business? Because you've got your dog adventures and you've got your dog training. But for me, that's obviously there's a certain element of swapping your time for money there. So do you want to grow? Are you planning to kind of be scalable? What are you going to do? What are your plans?
So the plans, I'm quite happy with the kind of day-to-day dog adventure side of it. We're full, really. We've been full for like a number of years now, and my son works full time with me in the business as well, Alex. So he's
that's really cool.
That's been interesting, getting obviously the father-son thing, and we get on fantastic. We have a good laugh every day, but it must be very challenging for him having to work for me. I'll be honest about that. So that side of it's really good. And I kind of wanted to do something where I was getting out of this time for money thing, because there are only so many hours you can walk dogs a day, and do it well and enjoy it still. Obviously, I still want to enjoy it. So that's where I started doing some online training, because I thought that I could sort of reach more people. Obviously, with the power of the internet, there's never been a better time, has there, to find your crowd and to connect with them wherever they are, really, all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where I'm moving on to now.
Okay, so tell me about online dog training. How does that work? Because in my head, I've got this kind of idea that you kind of go to see a dog trainer and they look at you and your dog and how you interact together. So how does it work online? Because that's a really cool idea if you can make it work.
Yeah, what has been challenging, I have to say, because a big part of it is, as with anything, I suppose, you can teach someone a lot easier. Well, no, that's not true, actually. If people want to learn, then you can teach them much quicker face-to-face, can't you? And get them to do exactly what you want them to do and to spot the mistakes and stuff. But if people really want to learn, then they'll learn other ways as well. So we have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group where we can interact in there. And I have lots of demonstration videos, and they just follow what I teach, and I try and teach through a variety of sort of, sending PDFs, and like I do Facebook live posts, and I put videos up within the membership, and they just ask questions, and gradually they get. I think it's because if they want to learn, and that's the key. Once I find the people who are suffering from the problems that I know that I can help them with, then they have success.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that, because I think, like you said, it is a great thing to be able to teach people remotely, because you can only help so many people one-to-one, and like you said, there's only so many hours in the day, and you kind of get overstretched. So it's really cool that you found a way to kind of do stuff online as well. And by the way, if anyone, actually, even if I don't have a dog, and I love Dom's live Facebook posts, they're often really funny. And so if you have a dog, for sure you should look up Dom. What's your Facebook page, Dom?
The Facebook page is Pack Leader Dog Adventures, so they can check that out. Pack
Leader Dog Adventures, because Dom is the pack leader. Which is really cool. Yeah, I think your business is great, actually, because you're quite different from a lot of the other dog kind of training and walking businesses. And one of the reasons for that, I think, is that a lot of them come across, I mean, they're probably very good at what they do, but they come across as being quite amateurish because their websites are cheap and, they don't have... Because I kind of talk to a few people and they're like, oh, branding doesn't matter and it's all about, it's all about kind of just doing the direct response marketing and all the rest of it. And that's true to a point, but actually I think the whole branding thing does matter. It matters what impression that you make on people, and you make a really good first impression because you come across as really very kind of put together and professional, but without being corporate and faceless. And I think you've got the balance really, really well there, especially with your book, because you've just written a book, haven't you?
I have indeed, yes, I have.
Tell us about your book.
The book is called How to Be Your Dog's Superhero.
Cool.
And it's how to transform your dastardly dog using the power of play. And it's basically everything, my whole kind of philosophy and everything what I've learned about dogs and, spoken the way that I speak,
yeah.
whether you like it or whether you don't. It's all real life, actionable, practical stuff that you can just read and put into practice with your dog straight away, really. Cool.
So why did you decide to write a book?
Well, you played a part in this, obviously, as well. I had I thought a book would be a good idea. I realised sometime last year, that a book would be quite a powerful thing to have, as a marketing tool.
Yeah.
And so I started last year, and I messed around a bit with it, really, as you do with anything that you're not really committed to.
Yeah.
And I wrote a couple of chapters and then left it for a month and then wrote a little bit more and stuff like that. And then your course cropped up because I was already on your email list at the time.
Yeah.
And I was enjoying your emails. Obviously, I still do. And the Published in 90 Days, I think that's the name of it, isn't it, Vicky?
It is, yes, publishedin90days.com.
So Published in 90 Days course, you brought that out, and actually I'd even already paid for the books. I'd already paid for the first print one as well, but I just needed something to get me over the line, you know what I mean, to get me to... So I knew I was going to do it, but I wanted to... I just needed a bit more help, really. So your course came in and it just did exactly what it said on the tin, really. It got me the book finished in pretty good time. I mean, it took me a little bit longer, but I think that's because I've been working on a membership site and stuff like that at the same time, So So that was how the book came together.
Cool. I think you've done a brilliant job, actually, because you say it took you a little bit longer, and I don't. Yeah, it did. It took you a little bit longer than 90 days, but like you said, you had all this other stuff going on as well. And you've got your membership site that you've been putting together and all that. So how is that going? How have you found? Because it looks to me like, because I've been following you on Facebook and stuff, it looks to me like your book's insanely popular and it's doing really well. So and I should point out here that I never advise anyone to write a book because it's going to make them rich. It's not. That's not. I mean, it might do. You might get lucky, but that's not the point of doing it. You write your book as a kind of marketing and positioning tool, I say that, but that's not all it is. It's also, like you said, you wanted to write it to help people to get on better with their dogs, which is the good reason why. But my point, my rambly circular point is that you don't write it to become like a best-selling author necessarily. That's just a bonus if it happens. So how is your book going?
No, yeah, it's going great. It's going really well, and you're right. It does so many things, doesn't it? It's a positioning thing. From a business point of view, it's a positioning thing, and it's an inexpensive thing for people to buy if they're interested in me, and they want to learn more about me, kind of thing. And it gives me something to focus on with the marketing now because I just have to concentrate kind of on the book.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a very powerful thing for people to buy. To have more fun with their dogs, I mean, I'm similar to you, Vicky. I get feedback all the time on my emails, and people say, "Oh, I've never tried that before, and now my dog's looking at me, and he's following me around, and he never did this before. So thanks very much." And now I'm getting even more of those responses because of the book, because people are reading it and they're taking action on it, and they're seeing the results. So yeah, it's been brilliant, and I'm just getting really good feedback all the time. I'm marketing it now. I'm trying to get it into more people's hands, so I'm trying to figure out that side of it as well, which your course was very helpful with as well.
Thank you.
It's going good.
Cool. I'm really glad to hear that, because one of the things that I've found with my book is that people who read it are much more likely to buy other stuff from me as well, and to ask me for help in other ways, and to join my inner circle and that kind of thing. And so I've found it to be incredibly useful for that, because it just lightens the load of having to sell all the time, because I don't like the hard sell, and I suspect you're probably similar, because I don't think that it's just icky.
No, I did that. I did when I when I first did my online course, the first one I did last year. It was brilliant, and it just to go back a bit on what we were talking about before, it really opened my eyes to how much I could help people online, and how much I was surprised myself, even, with how some people were coming on and they were saying, "Oh, I've got this dog and he's doing this, that, and the other." And I was thinking, "Crikey, I've got my work cut out here," but you were still able to help them over time. Yeah. But what I was going to say about that was that the whole launching of the program and going through the launch, I found it quite stressful, and I didn't want to keep doing that. So
yeah.
I kind of having the book and then the membership is just things that I personally, for me, they fit better with me, where I can continually market them and push them, I suppose, out to people and help people that way, rather than going through stressful launches.
Yeah, and these launches are quite stressful, I find, because you kind of look at these kind of big internet marketing people who've got like massive lists, and they do these really huge launches all the time, and they make a lot of money out of them. But I do wonder how stressful it is, because and how many people, you've always got to look at the number of people who don't buy as well. If you get a 10% conversion, even from a warm list, that's very good. But that still means that 90% of people are ignoring you. So it's always a little bit sobering to realize that. But yeah, it does. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth as well, because I don't. Like you say, it's stressful, and pushing sales onto people it's not very nice. And so when you've got something like a book to hang everything off, it allows people to come to you and say, "I really loved your book. What else have you got?" And you can kind of have your your little stable of products and services and whatnot, and things that people ask you for, and questions that people ask. And I get that all the time. So I've had a few questions from people, and because on certain topics, and because of that, I've thought, well, I'm going to put this product together and that training together and blah 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 blah, and a lot of them are half finished in the nature of many, in the nature of things. But it just allows people to come to you rather than you having to go to them all the time, and I think that's a very valuable thing.
Yeah, definitely, I totally agree.
Yeah. So what else are you going to do with your book, Dom?
Well, I did my first course, like a seminar type thing last week, the week before last. Yeah, so that went really, really well. That was just off the back of the book. Even before the book was out, even I had that book. So I'll be doing more of those.
Good.
I'm going to try and get a bit of a tour going, so I can go around some dog training clubs and show people in person exactly, what I teach in the book.
Yeah.
So it went down really well. So I'm definitely going to do more of that. I've got the membership. I've got my own sort of membership site starting within the next month.
Yeah.
That we're just kind of putting together a few loose ends for that. Podcast as well, Vicky. I've got my own podcast starting in the next couple of weeks.
Hurrah!
So I'm really looking forward to that. That's good. We're going to try a video podcast.
Okay, cool.
Again, just because of the kind of nature of, dogs and working with dogs, and it's nice for people to see the dogs and see what I'm doing, and even if they have to look at me at the same time, but they'll have to just put up with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll cope. It's fine. They can focus on the dog. It'll be fine. I think
lots and lots planned.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I love the idea of video podcast, because, like you say, what you do lends itself very well to the kind of visual thing, and also the live events thing is a great idea, because people, the absolute best members that I've got in my inner circle are people that I've met in real life. And so if you can get yourself out there in real life, actually meeting people, this goes for you, this goes for anybody who's listening. If it's worth doing free seminars for people. So for example, I did a bunch at the Chamber of Commerce on email marketing and various other bits and bobs. And the longest standing members that I have are people that have met me in person and that have met me from these free events. And so the ROI on that is awesome. It's massive. So that's a really good idea. The other thing that's just popped into my head, and by the way, this is the kind of thing that you'll get from me if you borrow my brain, listeners, has just popped into my head, is take piles of your books to dog kennels and cattery type places, not catteries, but they often do dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Take them there and say to them, guys, you can sell this if you want and keep all of the profits.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, no, I just did that yesterday, actually. There was a couple of people who we've interviewed for the, as part of the podcast prep work for my podcast.
Yeah.
And they like run rescues on, one was in France and another one was in Ireland. And I sent them off a little pile of books yesterday to just to do just that. Yeah. And just said, sell it for what you want and just keep it and stick it in the jar for,
yeah,
the little animals.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And if you can get them to capture people's email addresses or, agree to opt into your email list at the same time, that might be a little more tricky.
I didn't do that, but I'm sure they'll be happy to do that for me, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that you'll have a call to action in your book anyway, and that will kind of drive people to a resources page or whatever. But if you can get people to actually agree to opt in at the point that they buy the book, that'd be quite a cool thing to do.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I shall do that.
Cool. Okay, so what would you say to other business owners or other people who are either thinking of starting a business or who are just started a business? What is your top piece of advice for them? Just to put you on the spot there.
I would, and some people don't say this, but I would definitely say do something that you love. Do something that you're going to enjoy doing, because to me, that's really important. If none of the online stuff worked out for me, if it all just disappeared tomorrow, I would still be quite happy going out, walking the dogs every day and, in the sun or the rain or the hail. And so you definitely should do something that you're gonna enjoy doing.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But the other thing I would say is find people who are smarter than you and pay them money to tell you stuff. Because it's not always easy, and you do have to, go through some shit people first. But event like anything, if you look hard enough and buy some books like your book, and people should buy these things and read it and just see if they like what you've got to say. And because you can waste an awful lot of money trying to advertise a business with SEO and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As I've done in the past, before I started to kind of build a tribe and build my own list of people and doing things the way that you do it, and the way that I know a lot of other people do as well. But that's definitely what I would say you need, because you can just waste thousands and thousands, on absolute crap, really, can't you?
You can, and I think it can be quite difficult to ask for help as well, and to admit that you don't know something, and that's okay, because what I've found is that a lot of business owners are so good at the thing that they do, but they just don't know anything about running and marketing a business, and that's perfectly reasonable because they've never done it before. So there's no reason why they should know. It's not, it's not something that automatically people know. It's something that you learn from, a lot of trial and error, because there is a lot of trial and error, and also from finding people who are just a little bit further down the road than you are. And taking advice from them, and being really wary of people who claim to have all the answers as well, and who say this is the only way to do it, because there are 1,000,001 different ways to do it. And what you have to do is find the person that, like you say, that you like the look and sound of them and you get on with, and just see what they're doing and take their advice, and and question them as well, question their advice, because not everything that everybody says is gospel just because they're successful, because successful people as well tend to forget how they got there, I think. Which is
for sure, yeah. And you don't need, I quickly discovered this with the dog training, but you don't need that many clients, really. I don't think you need that many clients. Depends on what you're selling, of course. If you're selling toilet brushes, then you probably need quite a few. But if you're going to, certainly if you're in the service industry, then any kind of service, you don't actually need that many clients.
No,
online or offline, really. To have a really comfortable living and be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I try not to have more than 3 clients at once, because it just otherwise you can't give them your full attention. And when you start charging more as well, you don't need that many, and it just leads to stress. And I think you're right. It's better to kind of not putting all your eggs in one basket and just having kind of those 3 clients. Because what I like to do is have a waiting list of sorts, and people who I know that are waiting for me. And it's probably the same with you. You're always going to have people, like you said, you're full to capacity. You're always going to have people who are kind of like, oh, Dom, when can I come and work with you?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a really nice situation to be in. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's lovely.
Cool. Okay, well, that's been really cool. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you very much. And well, yeah, thank you. Really, that's basically it.
You're welcome.
Coming up, we're going to do some more about USPs, because we kind of mentioned Dom's dog USP earlier. He's dog adventures and not just walks, and that's really important. So in the future, over the next few weeks, we're going to talk more about USPs, what they are, what they definitely aren't. what most people get wrong. And you can buy Dom's book where can you buy Dom's book?
You can go to www.mydogsuperhero.com. You can get the book there. It's also available on Kindle, How to Be a Dog Superhero. And if people want to just like download a chapter for free and get on my email list, you can go to www.mydogsuperhero.com/dogdays.
Dog biz?
Dog days.
Dog days. Sorry, yeah. Dog days.
My Southern accent, I apologise.
No, that's cool. Podfly guys, that's Dog Days for the URL. Cool, that's brilliant. And your Facebook page is Pack Leader Adventures.
Pack Leader Dog Adventures.
Pack Leader Dog Adventures. Brilliant. And if anyone would like to borrow my brain for half an hour, then that's businessforsuperheroes.com/borrow-my-brain. And that's all for this week. Thank you so much, Dom. Really enjoyed that. And I will see you. No, I will be in your ears next week, talking about possibly USPs, possibly something else, depending on how distracted I get. Be good. If you can't be good, don't get caught. And we'll see you. Joe will be back next time. Ta-ta.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.